Mike, Cam, what is up, y'all? Someone said, when does it actually start? In about 50 minutes, roughly. Teeny bit less than that. But what is happening here? I don't really have anything for y'all until the campfire starts. Actually, just got some Wendy's. I was hungry. So we're gonna go ahead and actually, I guess I'll just give you the game to look at, or I guess let me see. Yeah, I guess no. Yeah, let's do that. Do that. Actually, where's my chat? There it is. Any class 10 predictions? Well, so here's the thing. When does the actual patch come out? Is it coming out after the live stream? Like right after the live stream, or is that like the next day? Or in terms of like the patch notes? I know the patch isn't coming out until next week. But the patch notes, is that like today or I don't think the patch notes is that much later. Booyah Koshak, what's up, man? That's pretty good. Crafty, Dartless, Paulo, what's happening? Yeah. So class tuning predictions. I don't know. No, I'm gonna sound like a broken robot. I mean, sorry. I know I'm going to sound like a broken robot, but to be honest with you, it's hard to tune much of anything in this game if a lot of things that we're doing are based on bugs. Feel the send chat. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of where I'm at right now. So when I think about Rogue, the thing, like the majority, like the main reasons why Rogue kind of functions at the moment decently is because stuff is bugged. Vision key passive is bugged, primarily with trick attacks. And the scaling with the glyph is multiplicative, which isn't supposed to happen. But it allows us to actually be able to do some actual damage. Same thing with Victimize. Hell, we did some ethical builds yesterday. And that was still with trick attacks scaling on top of each other. And it still was kind of like pretty meh. Because I didn't have one of the bug key passes. So it's just kind of like, so I don't know. I feel like if you tune but don't fix the base problem, then we're gonna end up back in the same like predicament and or situations. In my opinion, I'm not saying don't buff stuff. I'm just saying, you know, if you know, I don't really have a good analogy. Usually I have decent analogies, but I can't think of one. I don't know. Like if your car is missing a tire and you put a donut on it for now as a band-aid, you can't continue to tune the rest of the car or mess it around with the rest of the car with that donut as a tire. You have to fix the actual tire. You can't go, oh yeah, sure, the donut's fine, then like try to like balance suspension and like everything else around the fact that you have a donut for a tire. Like, sure, you know, the car still functions. Car does what it needs to, but like the problem is if you're having issues turning, suspension, gripping the road, you need to actually fix the tire. You know, you can't keep the donut on there. You gotta like fix the root cause of the issue. But that's why I'm not really that hopeful for like a mid-season patch to do anything, because the problems are like bigger rooted unless they're gonna really just strip apart the game bug wise mid-season and just do like a reset, which I just don't see happening at like mid-season though. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. I didn't know you didn't know I wasn't a vampire. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. According to this, it's still nighttime outside. You see the moon? It's always there. Sir Galbater, is that how I say it? And Doctor, I love your rogue bills. I want to ask you which transmog is your character's hat? This is a season 3 battle pass transmog hat. I forgot what it was actually called, but it's a season 3 transmog. Jake, you think they'll nerf Spiritborn and buff other classes? I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna really see today, honestly. One thing I can tell you is that a lot is probably gonna happen. I guess don't know what those a lot of things details. Which just you mentioned balancing related to bugs. Why not add all Paragon boards shoot every class? So every class can use the OP bug boards. Well, ironically, all the Paragon boards are identical between the classes. If you've seen like the layout, they all look exactly the same. It's just that the name changes, but all the boards are exactly the same. But I think the idea of like buffing every, like let's say buffing every class to Spiritborn level. But for one, that's a lot of work for you to have to like, you know, redo towards it, like, you know, for next season. You know what an easier solution is if people kind of like that idea, like that ideology. That you know what an easier solution is? Reduce every single mob in the game to 1 HP, so that every class and every build just one shots everything, regardless of the difficulty. There you go. You can get the Spiritborn experience that way, and every class can do it. Lexi, what's up? Then my ideas. I mean, the funny thing is, when I say that, like no one like gives me a pushback or anything. I think people realize how boring the game would be if that was the case. Like, imagine. I'm sure it'll be fun, but like, you know, a couple of days or so, right? But then you start to realize what the problem of that actually is, and why you can't just have every class one-shotting everything, every build one-shotting everything, and all content. Like there's an issue with that. Sure, Spiritborns are doing it, but that's a problem. You know, like that needs to be addressed. But I suppose you could just bring everything down to 1 HP and then give every class a bunch of numbers. So don't even buff the damage or whatever like that. Just visually display more numbers. Add new letters to my damage. Like, let me see like 114 G. Or like, you know, 500,000 Z. Like we don't even know what Z is, but just put it there. Why not? Makes it look like we're doing a lot of damage. So, literally, 1 HP mobs. Visually, just inflate all the numbers. Don't even mess with the skills or anything. Abilities. Just visually inflate all the numbers so it looks like you're doing a lot more damage than before. My thoughts on what we can expect today. Honestly, this is probably the one mid-season patch that I just don't know. I have no idea what to expect. Usually I can kind of give you an idea and be like, hey, they might do this, or I'm probably seeing this coming. I expect some underperforming stuff or underutilized things to be buffed on all classes. That includes Spiritborn. Crazy as that sounds, but yeah, I mean, there are some underutilized things on Spiritborn that isn't good. Now, are they going to take the time to address the elephants in the room? Is the big question. But we will see like buff to things that just aren't performing well at all, and they might do some retuning in terms of the way that the game progression is. Maybe some like changes in mats and how we achieve or we get the mats. The reward systems across the board, Dark Citadel might be more rewarding. We'll see. So there'll be a lot of like changes along that line, I think, going into mid-season. It's unjockable. I hope they go elephant hunting. I respect it. I'm gonna push from 150 with my charge bolts. Ciroc, what's going on, man? Press X for down on that. I like to see every character to manage 130 to 150 without having to play the game as a job. Maybe a 1%er, or the 1%er should be able to climb further. So, Dragon, if that was the case, I don't think it really fixes the root cause or root issues of Pit to begin with. Because literally between 101 to 150 is just an arbitrary number that just inflates damage or incoming damage and like just the health numbers of the mob. Like nothing changes between like literally between Pit 101 to 150 does nothing for your character. Like there's no additional challenges, no additional gains. It literally is just more enemy health. So what they could do is just literally just lower the health and damage of the mobs, and then everybody's happy at that point. Like, but nothing changed. They just changed the, you know, they lowered the health, but the way you play, the gameplay, everything is still the exact same. So you might go, hey, I was doing you know, 99s, but now I'm doing 130s. But like literally, if they would have just removed the number of the pit that you did, your gameplay would have been exactly the same. Which in my opinion, pit gameplay in the higher end is like awful. You know, you working to make on stream. What's up? Sell kittens. What's going on? Also, Killer Mom. What's happening, man? I'm at 127. Yeah. I think that like in about 20 minutes, they're gonna do like a little like they're gonna actually start the countdown of the stream. But at the same time, though, there probably does need to be a mode to be able to establish difference between somebody who's actually playing the game a lot and knows their stuff, and then obviously other players. For the expansion, I was able to push 120, 130s. Now you can hardly do it unless you're playing Spiritborn. Yeah, but nothing changed though. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, and I know I'm in a big minority in this. But why is it so important that we go from being able to do, let's say, 110 to 130? Like if we do 20 tiers higher than we used to. And Pip, why is that so important? Like, I haven't really heard a good explanation for that yet. Like, why is it so important that we jump 20 tiers? And Pip, if nothing changes, if the way pits are designed, the way the bosses are, pit bosses are, which are terrible, if nothing changes in pits, why does the number, the actual number of 110 to 130 important? So leveling this to, well, I mean, but 110, but let's say if you were doing 110s, what's the difference between leveling glyphs from 110 to 130? Nothing. I mean, once you're 101, you just level glyphs that way. That's why I said anything past 101 is kind of pointless. But like, I guess my thought is, I'm not saying that wanting to do a higher pit or whatever is a bad thing. What I'm saying is, why not focus on like the base problem of the pits and not just a number, an arbitrary number that has no meaning to anything. Like, this is the reason why people don't. I'll give you this way. Here's why I say what I'm saying. And like, I know I'm like, my viewpoint is pretty biased in terms of like what competitive gaming really is, because I used to be an esports gamer. I used to be a professional gamer for a different game. But like, when I speak to my friends in that world, they laugh at the idea of competitive Diablo 4 or at competitive action RPGs. Like they just think it's just the funniest thing to them. It's like, what do you mean people compete in action RPGs? Like it's a loot game. Like, how do you determine who's better? Like, you're playing against the AI. Are you serious? People actually take this thing seriously? Like that's how they view Diablo 4. And like other action RPGs when we talk about a competitive element. So my thing is, if you want people to take, if you want the whole idea of like harder D4 or a sort of competitive element to be taken seriously in Diablo 4, you got to look at the root cause of the issues and not just inflate a number. Right? Saying, okay, now I can do 140s or whatever doesn't make the game more competitive, doesn't make the game more skillful, doesn't make the game more anything. All it does is just, you just went from 110 to 140 and that's it. The game didn't change. How you approach it didn't change. People won't respect you more because you did 140 instead of 110, because now everybody's doing 140s now. Like, it's nothing changed. We gotta, I think, tackling the root causes of what makes Pit miserable at the high end, I think is in my opinion, the way to go about it. I think just buffing everybody so therefore they can do 150s just doesn't do anything for it. Or if you just want the mount, just ask Blizzard to give you the mount. Like, just, hey, Blizzard, can you just give me the mount and the whatchamacallit that would have been the achievement from 150, since it doesn't really mean anything? Might as well. LTAs for speedruns exist though. He still has one of the richest speedrunning communities of any non-Nintendo game. I guess, like, for an action RPG, sure. I can see that. Yes. Speedrunning, yeah, I can see that. Give all bosses an exorbitant amount of ads on the metric attacks. I mean, I'd like that. Personally. Vanilla, I agree. Not simply just more content. I want deeper content. I agree. Min-Mai was going on. I don't know if I'm ever saying that right. Because it looks like it reads as Min-May. But Min-Mai, since you have two eyes at the end. Like, feel free to correct me. Like, I would not get mad. In fact, I was slightly upset in a fun way, not like in a serious way. I was slightly upset when one of the people who comes here all the time, Peacha Pal. I'm sure he's probably like listening in the background or something like that, probably lurking. He let me mispronounce his name for years on stream and never corrected me. I used to say Pika Pal. And the only reason why I know that, like, it was funny because he subscribed or whatever, and my bot pronounced his name as Peacha Pile. And I was like, wait a minute. Is it Peacha Pile or Pika Pile? And he said that the bot said it right. And I'm like, so for 2.5 years, you let me call you Pika Pile all this time, and you have not said a word. A word. At all. And he visits the streams almost every day. Because the guy said, I literally just moved back from Maryland while the D4 campaign speed run on stage. I had a competitive speed running event between tournaments for Mario 64 and Minecraft speed run. Now Mario 64 speed running, like, I've watched some of those. Those are insane. Absolutely insane. It's decent D4, but action RPG speedrunning is a competitive format. Exists. It just isn't the Pit. So I think the thing is, though, I think Crimkin's cast, I think speedrunning is I don't want to say outlier, because speedrunning isn't a thing that the game acknowledges. It's like a grassroots competition. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. Like, it's an absolute thing with the scene that I highly respect, for sure. And the fact that it's it is where it is right now is nothing short of like amazing, considering that like companies don't support that. Like companies generally don't support speedrunning in that sense. Sometimes, really, but most of the times it's like a grassroots competitive thing, right? I say that as somebody who used to compete in Smash all the time. And like Nintendo didn't support it at all. But yeah, I'll give you that. If D4 speedrunning was like more of a bigger thing, I'd probably go out and attempt to compete. But I think the thing is in D4 though, unfortunately, is that like a lot of times people tend to not respect speedrunning in D4 unless it's hardcore. And I think that's kind of where the disconnect tends to happen. Like I get why it's more interesting and exciting to watch someone do it on hardcore. But some things are just unfortunate that are like out of your control. And thus therefore some people would rather just do it in softcore. If that makes sense. Even though the intensity is like obviously greater in hardcore, which again, I totally understand why, but it's just you end up barring some players out of that thing, which is I guess honestly why you don't see it as big of a scene in Diablo 4. Because hardcore in general is a very small part of the community. Like really small at the moment. Streaming 23 minutes? Okay. Anyways, the original point I was making is let's fix the foundational issues of said content, of things in the game. Because all that's going to happen is if we just buff numbers, or if we just make classes able to do higher number, then we really haven't fixed the core issues of why we don't like doing said higher number content. If I did for spinning running like an event, I was curious if you'd be open to compete. Give me your point of view on your own channel if I found a sponsor. I actually wouldn't mind that. I'd actually have to practice because my biggest issue has always been attention span. Like, I know the game well enough to be able to do a speed run, but I'm always like the guy's like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy type thing. And I guess now, like, obviously it's mid-season, so like I wouldn't care about the, side candies, I guess you could say. But at least it would definitely give me something to do, something to like work towards. Like I wouldn't be very good at it relative to the guys who are really good at it. But I'd be willing to get better. I'll put it that way. If that was like a thing that like became bigger, for sure. All right, let's pull up the stream itself. With that being said, though, Crips and Cast, I'd be totally down to support some grassroots efforts and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of like people like being able to establish a community like that and like do a really good job at that. Like I said, I used to do a lot of that back in the Smash days. I competed in grassroots competitions, and then of course I competed in like Blizzard sponsored things. Like, hold well, StarCraft 2, right? So like I get it from both ends. And honestly, I kind of prefer the grassroots. But Blizzard didn't hear me say that though. I probably edited that part out of the VOD. Most people just call you Vern. I started doing that until I actually like really started to learn how to like, you know, pronounce your name, and I'm just like, oh, Vanilla Gorilla. Okay, that's pretty cool. So Minmay, that's how you say it. It's from a classic anime. Someone said it was from Robotech, right? I haven't seen it. I know the anime, Robotech or whatever. I know of it, but I don't know. I haven't seen it. That's why I didn't catch the reference. Did that shock me that they knew? Who was it? It was Monkey Magic, right? Or was it yeah, I think it was Monkey Magic that. Like, I'm in the anime, but I'm mostly into like the Shonen Jump stuff, which I know is like very basic. Like the true anime fans will kind of kind of laugh at that, but like, but yeah. Yeah, this campfire is so awkward. Hope they fix something productive. Have something productive to say besides Nurse Fairborn. I guess at this point, productive would be subjective. Because, and the reason why I say that is because it just depends on what's important to you, right? So, like, let's say they tune Infernal Horrors to be better rewards for Dark Citadel, better ways to progress your glyph XP. For someone, that might mean a lot. For others, it could mean nothing at all, and be like, "Well, I don't care about any of that stuff anyway." So, the perception of, I guess, what would be considered good will be just based on, well, perspective, basically. Like just depending, for instance, for me, like, I don't really too much care about Dark Citadel, even though I did find it fun. But like, no matter what they do to it, I'm probably still not going to care that much. Doesn't mean it's good or bad. I'm just not going to care. Like, I think for me, the biggest thing is bugs. So like, I think it's gonna be pretty hard to impress me right now with the mid-season campfire chat. I'm not like being pessimistic about anything, but like, I'm a big advocate of fix the foundational issues so that the entire game can be better, and stop putting band-aids over stuff that just needs a big fix. Like, season 4 was a great example of something I was a fan of. Like, between season 1, 2, and 3, they were putting band-aids on the loot system. Now, don't get me wrong, they had one plan. Like, they had one in like a whole new loot system or like that. So they had something to plan. But until then, we were getting band-aids, and the loot just still felt awful no matter what they did until season 4, until they revamped it all. That's what needs to happen to bugs in this game. Like, if we want builds and class balance to actually be a thing, you know, bugs have to be fixed. They have to be tackled. You know, doing any tuning or whatever like that is just putting a band-aid over the real issues. Because you can't balance anything while bugs still exist. You just can't. It's impossible. So that's why like my expectations are pretty low, but I'm also pretty biased towards a very specific thing. So I admit that. It's kind of like free stuff, but see, I'm not expecting anything but the same old crap. They don't feel like they play the games. They just design, bring some passion to the game. So I will say I disagree with the fact that, I mean, they are passionate and like they do play. It doesn't mean that they succeed obviously in the things that they bring to the game or what they do, but they are passionate. They do pretty good things. I mean, they're games that they're developers that are passionate, that do play, and then you look at their game and then like it's almost non-existent. You want to know a good example of that? Last Epoch. Everyone was saying, "Oh, they're true gamers, right? They're true gamers. They understand what the gamers want. They're passionate about it." But how many people actually play that on a regular basis now? Zil Kiwi, what's going on? I You're below zero. What's going on? Clevo. Yeah, I haven't seen Pig in a while. What's up, man? Dangerous. We might need a Maxroll guy for that. Danger Sin. We need a Maxroll guy for that, and then we need like a tier list for the type of popcorn, the different brands and types of popcorn. Jimane, you know this the Campfire stream hasn't started yet, right? You see like the number up here where it says 617. This is all pre-Campfire stream. Would you rather for them just to have a clock running down? It started. The funny thing about it though is that honestly, the art direction and design is probably one of the best parts of the game. Like the game, when it's stable, looks incredible. So the only issue I have with the new concepts and the art stuff is that we have no reason to really visit New Hantu. Outside of Curious Undercity, maybe. So like we miss out on a lot of like the cool stuff down there, like what it looks like. But then, I mean, we warp there. We don't walk there. See what I'm saying? They just understand. Didn't the Emperor zoom out cam like 2 seasons ago? They did. They sure did. And you know what's funny? Like last week, I actually put the cam back to standard, and I kind of like it better standard rather than zoomed out because the game like looks a lot better. Yo, it's Colin. Colin and Adam baller. All right, this gonna be a baller stream, guys. I don't care what's being said. It's gonna be a baller stream. Airborne scenes, you know. Oh wait, YouTube can't hear it. Hold on. I got you, YouTube. Give me a sec. I got you, YouTube. Give me a sec.
We actually do release them, but you will have the final patch notes for mid-season update later this week. And then again,
right, YouTube, can you hear it now?
Next week. We will be back next week for another stream.
Yeah.
So back-to-back weeks for streams, lots of streams coming up. So this one's going to be a pretty quick one to go over mid-season update. Yep. And then next week, we're actually going to talk about the Season 7 PTR. I knew it was PTR. I should actually call it patch 2.1 PTR is specifically the name of it. We're going to be talking about all the changes that are coming with patch 2.1. That stream is also going to be a little earlier than when PTR is planning on actually starting. That's only because for those here in the US that are aware of it, the Thanksgiving holiday is coming up towards the end of November, and we won't have people in the office. So we want to make sure that we can do the stream a little early and talk to everyone about the patch 2.1 PTR before the end of the month. PTR itself is planning on starting after the holidays. It's or after that Thanksgiving holiday in the U.S. And then for the notes regarding PTR, we'll have that before the holidays. So everyone get to, at least in the U.S., they can eat turkey, read patch notes, and then elsewhere,
perfect thing.
They can just read patch notes. And so we have a lot of stuff coming up and a lot to talk about, but. Before we do get towards some of the other items, I know Colin, you want to talk a little bit about where we're at with D4 at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So
look at that notepad.
I'll try and keep it short.
Adam has a laptop.
For the mid-season, we actually think. I just wanted to talk a little bit
Colin
about
has
how
a
we
notepad.
think about the game currently. We've changed a lot over the past year. We've changed itemization. We've changed all of the progression. And generally, I think we've seen a ton of positive feedback around a lot of the progression changes made in X1, which is fantastic. We're really excited to make a lot of these changes. I think it's hit a lot of the goals in terms of opening up what builds you can actually play and experience a lot of the end game, which is great. Of course, there's Spiritborn kicking ass and Pit Tier 150, but otherwise, there's a lot of builds that sort of can cut it in the end game, starting in Torment 1, and I think that's been super sort of successful for us. And I also think a lot of the sort of itemization changes we made in terms of ancestral items, we think that they're a little bit on the low side. We'll talk a little bit more next week in the PTR in terms of buffing those. But we think it's actually pretty cool that there's those chase items that people are looking for. And I think just generally we're pretty happy with how a lot of the things landed. And right now we're sort of taking a step back and seeing, okay, now that we've made a lot of these changes, what are the more iterative steps we're going to take in the next year in terms of tightening up a lot of things? Full disclosure, I think we missed the mark a little bit on material tuning and things like that. So we're not looking
had to do a couple updates on material tuning. Just a couple.
So we're really looking at tightening up a lot of those things and sort of making more iterative changes to the overall progression of the game. And we hope that creates some more stability, and that sort of lets us, put more time and focus on balance and adding more things and sort of leveling up the game in that sort of way.
Yeah, just thinking back a year ago, so much has changed in our systems, right? We did all of our combat math over again. We changed resistances. We changed how loot drops and the whole upgrade system there in Season 4. Unique's got a big overhaul. There's been so much change in things. I'm looking forward to having a chance for things to kind of settle down and we can fine-tune and refine the existing systems that we have now that we have so many ways of progressing your character, making yourself stronger. And I think there's a lot of room for improvement inside of these systems to make them kind of better, which I know people have been requesting a lot. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's really about refining what we currently have. We feel like the structure is really strong right now.
Yeah, most definitely. And I know with this mid-season update, of course, the biggest topic that we've been hearing a lot is around class balance, specifically around Spiritborn right now and how it is performing very well compared to some of the other classes. And so, Mr. Adam Jackson, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the class balance.
Yeah, let's talk about classes. We've got a lot to go over today. So first, just give an overview of kind of what I'm going to talk about. First, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the state of Season 6 and kind of how we see things and how things are going. And then we're going to give you a preview of some of the changes that we're going to be doing for all of the classes. Normal disclaimer here, we're not going to be covering everything that we're going to do here in the patch. There could be a lot more notes than what I'm showing today, but just to kind of give you an idea of what's coming for each class and kind of what you can look forward to. So yeah, the current state of Season 6. So, a whole lot of people are enjoying the Spiritborn.
Really?
I think this class has been really successful. We've been hearing that it's a lot of fun. People are really liking kind of the way that you build, the way that you play, and just the class in general, which is really gratifying for the team. Just for some stats here, 62% of all players have played the Spiritborn. So, when you think, there's 6 classes in the game now and 62% of people are playing it, that's kind of a lot of love for the class, which is pretty exciting to see. And to give you a basis of comparison
compared to what I thought it would be.
The Sorceress in Season 5 was the most played class, and she was at 32%. So, like, to give you an idea, and that was, Lightning Spear meta, and, this class was really, really good. A lot of people had fun. And so you can kind of compare there of just how many people kind of logged into the expansion and enjoyed that. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah, just a few, right? So kind of the state of the game. The Spiritborn is performing quite a bit better than other classes, which we want to dig deep, do a little bit of a deep dive into how and why and how we think about it. Largely, a big culprit of this is actually due to unintended interactions that the class has with how some things scale and other issues. But then there's also another component that there are some balance issues with the class itself. And so it's pretty easy to conflate these two and be like, well, how much of the power is due to bugs or unintended interactions, and how much of it is just some things have high numbers. We do think it's a bit of both, but the unintended interactions, I think, are the lion's share of what's going on here. But on the bright side, the other classes are actually performing fairly well when compared to one another. So if you look at, Barbarian compared to Necromancer, or Druid compared to Sorceress, they're actually pretty close and competitive when we see like pit tier clears and other content, how they're doing, which is a really good sign for us. So when we're thinking of kind of what we're going to do going forward and how we balance the game, there's kind of two really statements that we need to think about when it comes to balance. The first one that's really important is we want players to feel strong and powerful and to kind of feel like they can break the game and find these crazy builds and do awesome things with. And then on the other side of the coin, we also want kind of, class balance and parity when it comes to their power level with one another, right? We don't want a situation that exists for a really long time where, the only answer is to play Barbarian, for example, compared to everything else, and that's all that you kind of be pushed into playing. So these two things are kind of at odds with one another, and we've kind of gone back and forth on our strategies here. If you remember back when we launched Diablo 4, we really actually prioritized class parity and harmony over, everything else, over the power fantasy of the game. And what this resulted in was every time that someone found a build that was really strong and crazy, we just kind of would fix the bugs or nerf the build, and we ended up kind of playing whack-a-mole every time that players found something cool. And it ended up being that Blizzard kind of turned into the fun police, which players really didn't like. We got a pretty big reaction at the end of the launch period and into Season 1 when we tried to only think about class parity over kind of the power fantasy of Diablo. And in Season 2, we kind of really turned things around in the way that we thought about the game, and we really prioritized, power fantasy and this idea that our players kind of want to break the game and be crazy. The big shining example there was Ball Lightning for you Sorceress mains. Where that skill, had an unintended interaction. It was really, really good, but players really liked it and had a lot of fun. And so if you remember a long time ago, we came on live stream and we talked about this, and we kind of said that we were going to allow players to kind of break the game in this way until the next season, right? There are some exceptions that we'll make where we'll fix things in the mid-season if it's impacting like the performance of the game or the experience of other players, like if your build is causing a bunch of lag or something. Then we'll fix it right away. I think in Season 6 we had this example with the Evade build with Spiritborn. But overall, players really liked this strategy a whole lot more, right? They got to enjoy this kind of, the point of playing ARPGs and Diablo in particular, of really making a powerful character and being able to smash faces with it, right?
Yeah, and the sort of philosophy here is sort of goes even beyond classes, right? If you remember in Season 1, we were just nerfing every dungeon that was too performant, and like any time like there was content that was like a little bit out of budget, we'd nerf it. So it's really about sort of establishing a trust with you, the player, during that season, and not trying to sort of force you to exploit the fun early and often. And it's really about sort of making sure that when you play a season, you know that that season is going to work the same throughout the season, and we're not going to change things midway on you.
Yeah, I think another factor to think about too is that now that we've added a lot of progression with like tempering and masterworking, that there's a lot of time investment that goes into making a build, even if you know something that might be unintended, but it's really, really good and crazy, and you spend 40 plus 100 hours, whatever, making it, and then if we kind of pull the rug out from under you, it's worrisome to do that to players, I think, in the middle of a season.
It's all about respecting your time, right?
Yeah. So in that vein, we are not planning to nerf the Spiritborn in the mid-season patch, which I think is the thing that's on everybody's mind. Like, is Blizzard going to do it? And we've decided that we think it's best for the game to not do it in the mid-season. So in Season 7, and we'll be talking about this a little more in the live stream next week, we are going to be fixing all of the unintended interactions that we found with Spiritborn. We'll also be making balance adjustments to bring them in line with the other classes. So you can expect a lot of change there. But until then, enjoy what you've got now while it's there.
I think it's worth digging into the unintended interactions part too, right? Because it's not necessarily like you picked one legendary Paragon node and now your build is ridiculous, right? No, it's like you're sort of, for lack of a better word, abusing some of the mechanics, right? If we know, Viscous Shield is scaling off of max HP, players have poured tons of time and effort trying to max Masterwork, their max life, and getting all the perfect tempers and item affixes. We don't want to take that away from you, right? That's not something that we're trying to necessarily destroy all the time commitment you put into your character by fixing these things. So it's not as simple as just fix the unintended interaction, right?
Yeah. But just reiterating, it is those unintended interactions are things that we will look at when we get to Season 7 and we start off with Season 7. So obviously with mid-season update, enjoy it through Season 6, but come Season 7, and you'll see a preview of some of these changes with Season 7 in our PTR stream.
I do find that a little
some of the
unfortunate for group players.
Yeah, there's a lot coming there, but this isn't about that.
This isn't about that today, but just
there's a lot coming there for everybody that'll be really exciting. But
Softs.
But yeah, so, but the caveat to all of this is if something does come up that impacts other players in regards to the game's performance, or you're causing lag for the server or whatever, we will be fixing those types of interactions as soon as possible. Like the evade build is our example, right? We will fix those right away because we want to make sure that the game is, performant for everybody. So in the mid-season, though, we are going to be buffing all of the other classes in the mid-season patch, but I want to caveat this a little bit with, it's not going to be to the level of Spiritborn right now because a lot of that power is due to bugs and unintended things. So we're really going to be buffing the classes to have more parity and harmony with each other, but then also to kind of where we plan to bring the Spiritborn to after, the bugs and stuff has been fixed. So you will be seeing number buffs, but, I wouldn't expect to be at the same level as what Spiritborn is doing right now in the mid-season.
Of course.
Just to be clear, because of that, the bugs are actually a big part of the power level.
Yeah, and we don't want to create an arms race, right? Where it's like, okay, everyone gets to be pit tier 150, then the next natural ask is like, okay, I guess we're adding Torment 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So we don't want to sort of get to a place where, you're chewing through 12 different Torment tiers. So we're really being cautious about the arms race here. We actually think the rest of the classes are in a really good spot.
Yeah, and I think you can count on that going forward too, not even just right now, but this is kind of the way that we think of things in general. It's like if all the classes are kind of in this realm kind of close to each other and then one has something unintended that brings like way up here, everybody is always like, well, let's just bring everybody else to this.
Yeah.
But if we do that every time, like you start with this difference and then you're here and then you do this and then you do this and you're exponentially going to increase the power level of the game just insanely high really fast, right? And that's not our goal, right? So if there's something that stands out, we'll let people do it for a while, but then we're going to bring it back the next season.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that I think you can mostly count on us doing balance and how the choices that we make and why.
Definitely. And the same goes if there's like a underperforming class. It's like 20 pit tiers behind everyone else, right? We have no problems with like bringing that up to where the rest of the classes are.
Correct. Yeah. The real goal is to get everything in a pretty good realm of having harmony with one another.
Metric, or you're looking at
when something's out of balance, it's okay for a season, but then we're going to try to bring it back, right? That's kind of always our goal. So yeah, let's get into the class updates for all the classes. We're just going to be going through one by one and kind of giving you a preview of what to see. Again, this is only a preview. There's more than what we're going to show on screen.
Yeah, way more. Yeah. Right? This is just like a couple examples within the stream itself. And of course, again, just a reminder, patch notes later this week. Once we get everything kind of sorted, we're abnormal time for a stream on a Tuesday. Normally we do it on Thursday and usually have patch notes then. So I expect the patch notes later this week.
Yeah, let's get to it. So starting off with Barbarian, we got some baseline core skill buffs for pretty much all of them, right? You can see here, Upheaval, Hammer of the Ancients, Double Swing, and Rend. Basically, we always hear it that they have a little bit of trouble leveling. Their late game is really good, but just getting there, it can be a little bit painful. So we're just going to be squeezing up those numbers a little bit more. So you'll have a better time leveling. You'll also be a little bit stronger overall, but all the builds will get a little bit better. And then also we have some buffs to underperforming legendaries and uniques. Here's an example with an aspect, Battle Mad. You can see here in the before, kind of what's on live right now is it's basically just a way to give you berserking, rewarding you for weapon swapping. And now we're adding a hefty multiplier to it. So now this is going to be a real offensive aspect that's going to give you, a bunch of power. You're going to get up to a 40% damage buff when you're doing the weapon swapping mechanic. So we've kind of finding these places where we can input damage or these underused legendaries or uniques, and then adding a reason to make them more compelling. Next we got Druid. So all of the Druid's key passives are getting buffed. I've given a couple of examples here, but I'm pretty sure all of them the numbers went up. So Lupine Ferocity, you've got the crit damage going from 70 to 100% bonus, and then the bonus damage to injured enemies going from 140 to 200%, which is pretty meaty. And then the one with Nature passive, that buffs your companions, that bonus damage is going from 60 to 80%, which is a pretty big amount. And then also legendary unique buffs in the same way of the Barbarian. So here, this is an offensive aspect, even though I'd argue it's kind of more utility, but the Storm Chasers aspect where it makes your tornadoes smart, where they seek enemies. We're just adding a pretty good multiplier to that. So Tornado builds Rejoice. You're going to get up to 50% more damage now, just from taking this aspect that you were probably taking anyways. What's up? So just making you happier to take the same things. Next one, the Basilisk. This is the Earth Druid dealing with Petrify. So before, it was that first time that you hit an enemy, you'll petrify them, and then every time you petrify them, it deals a bunch of damage. We're just making that a lot more usable, so that way you can feel more comfortable taking it. So now it's going to be when you hit a healthy enemy, you'll petrify them. And also, this will work against bosses. So every 5 seconds that you hit a boss, you'll attempt to petrify, and then you'll get that bonus damage proc. So basically, this unique now will be giving you a damage proc every 5 seconds against bosses, which will be a lot better than now, where it doesn't really do much to bosses at all. Next, we got the Necromancer. So they're getting buffs for all of their basic skills. I'm showing Decompose here as an example. The damage is almost being doubled. Your essence gain per second is going up by quite a bit. And also now it'll scale with attack speed bonuses. So now if you build attack speed or you have it, Decompose is going to be generating essence for you quicker, which it didn't used to before. They're also getting some buffs and kind of some simple functionality changes to some passives. So an example here with the Evulsion passive is before you would get increased crit damage to vulnerable enemies. And now we're just going to remove that double requirement there of focusing on crit and vuln. So now you'll just get more damage against vulnerable enemies. So it's just a lot more usable. It's now you can use it more generally. You don't have to worry about critting all the time to get the bonus. So it'll just be more consistent. And then we've got some unique buffs here. These are just number buffs, some examples. We've got Mordecrux, so your chance to spawn the Skeletal Simulacrum is going up. And Howl from Below, you're just getting more corpse explosion damage out of it. So just tuning up these numbers to make them competitive. Next, we've got the Rogue. So similar to the Barbarian, the Rogue is also getting buffs to the core skills. Penetrate shot damage is going up. Flurry damage is going up as some examples. Also, their key passives are getting a bit better too. Victimize, the damage scaling is going up for your vulnerable damage bonus. And Precision is going up by a pretty hefty amount, from 15% to 20% of your crit damage bonus. So they'll just be a lot more potent. And next, we've got the Sorceress, kind of keeping on the theme of buffing key passives. So this one we're doing a bit of a functionality change. So Combustion before used to be that you get a big multiplier to your burning damage, 60%. And then after that, we kind of wanted to reward you for putting different burning sources on enemies. And you get a little bit of a bonus per source. Now we're doing away with that second part. So you're still getting the burning damage buff just across the board. But now we're actually going to tie it to itemization. So now you'll just be getting an additional multiplier based on your damage to burning enemies bonus. So now you're going to be looking for that, in your gear and your Paragon and other places. So you can now just really buff up the burning damage. And you don't have to worry about putting a bunch of sources on enemies. Next, in a similar vein, Avalanche. This key passive is just getting better and is going to be tuning into a damage bonus as well. So before it was that your Frost skills have a lucky hit chance to make your next cast of a few different skills consume no mana and be stronger. And when you hit vulnerable enemies, it just made the chance better. And now we're just buffing up the chance baseline, going from 10 to 30% to get that free cast and bonus damage. But now the actual damage that you deal is going to be increased by your damage against vulnerable enemies stat.
One rogue slide, yeah.
We've added basically a scaling multiplier to this key passive, so it should be doing a lot more damage over time. Next, we got Aspect of Piercing Cold. This is for you Ice Shards enjoyers. This one's getting a whole lot better. So before, it used to be that the number of pierces was part of the random roll, and then also the roll.
I love Ice Shards, though. This is cool.
Your subsequent hits deal less damage with Ice Shards, and now we flipped the script now, And now the amount of enemies that's going to pierce is going to be static, so you're just getting a more consistent value. But instead of doing less damage, you're going to deal more damage per enemy hit. So that actual difference of going from less to more is going to amount to a substantial increase in the amount of damage that this legendary is pumping out for ice shards.
Actually, might make a ice shard actually for that.
Last but not least, for the sorceress, we introduced a couple of new legendary aspects.
Sword got like 3 or 4 slides.
We've got them. They're scaling with charged bolts and incinerate. And both of these aspects were dealing what we call flat damage, or it was like a certain damage amount, and it didn't really scale up as you scaled the skill up. And we've changed that for both of these. So the aspect of charge flash and the aspect of overheating will now both scale as you get more charge bolt or more incinerate damage. These ones will be dealing a lot more damage as well. So these ones will just scale with you and be a lot better over time as you get stronger. And next, last but not least, we got the Spiritborn. So we did do some changes here. We really mostly did small buffs to skills that haven't really been being used or seen less success. So we got Razor Wings here.
I told
the
you.
Damage is going up a bit. And also, Razor Wings used to have actually a set cooldown between casts. And now we remove that cooldown, so now you can actually cast Razor Wings faster as you build attack speed,
Did
like
not
all
tell
other
you.
skills in the game. We also did some small buffs to Withering Fist. The poison damage went up, the slow went up, and one of the upgrades will now spread to more targets when you use it. And then we also got some buffs to Toxic Skin, which isn't really seen much play by players. We basically just did some small buffs to its damage, both baseline, the enhancement, and one of the upgrades, the variants of it.
And these are mostly just on the skills that people aren't actually using right now.
Correct,
Our goal isn't to like make the Spiritborn even stronger.
No, this is tuning within the builds of the class.
We're most definitely seeing chat, and they're like, wait, Spiritborn buffs, and it's like, these are like skills that really no one is using, so we want to make sure that...
I mean, I can just buff Quill Volley.
There you go,
right?
Quill Volley. Yeah. Most definitely needs buffs, apparently. No, but it's for things that we just haven't seen a lot of play within Spiritborn players. I know a lot of players
Even
are looking at
Spiritborn
some
is
of
2
the numbers, and
slides. I know. Rogue gets 1
these are
slide,
just,
yo.
like, baseline numbers on
One
some of
slide.
these skills. Obviously, there's a lot of interactions that happen beyond that, from tempering to the gear that you have and everything like that, that will end up obviously enhancing those even more. So we're expecting to, as Adam had mentioned before, we're not expecting to see the other classes jump up to the same power as the Spiritborn, because the Spiritborn, again, is using some unintended interactions right now, but those will be addressed in Season 7. So with these classes specifically, they will get some additional buffs so that they can stay competitive amongst each other. They're staying together as a pack, but being a little bit stronger here with the mid-season.
Yeah, the idea with mid-season, this is probably going to be true with most mid-season updates, is that we're trying to move everything a little closer together, and also to set up for the next season where there will be a lot more upheaval.
Yeah.
Right, so we're like prepping everything to be kind of close. And then,
upheaval.
Oh, yeah.
A lot more upheaval.
I was like, ha ha ha.
But you know, we're getting ready
Is
for
that a
season
hint?
7, which will be a lot.
Is that an
impactful.
Easter egg? No. Cool, awesome. Well, I know we have again, Adam had mentioned that this is just a very small.
It's a lot more than just that.
There's a lot more than just what we showed here. That would be the shortest patch notes ever. But we do actually have a patch
There's something
notes
about the
coming out
one
later
slide.
this
Me
week
too,
that
man.
We'll have all the
Me
different
too.
class changes and everything with the mid-season update. We do have a few other things that are actually also hitting related to rune words, and a thing that a lot of people have been talking about. Which is shrines specifically.
Yes.
So we can shrines.
What's wrong with shrines?
What's wrong with shrines? What's wrong with the conduit shrine that I don't purposely ignore? Yeah.
You mean the real cursed shrine?
There you go.
Sorry, hold on.
All right, jumping into rune words first. We are doing some tuning changes to rune words. I will tease a little bit that we do have some more impactful changes coming in Season 7, so tune in next week for them. But in the meantime, we did do some rune word buffs to ones that aren't being used as much, mostly by lowering offering costs. Some examples here, we got the Moni rune word. The offering that you get is increased from 25 to 35. The Ahu rune word, the offering is being increased a lot from 10 to 25 when hitting injured enemies. And then I'm just going to butcher it. I don't know how to say it, but the Se rune word. The wolf spirits are now always going to be unhindered. So, we often run into issues where companions and things like that have trouble getting to enemies, but since, they're spirits, so why would other things get in the way? So now they'll always be moving through enemies and getting to their targets a lot quicker. And then shrines, heard some feedback that they don't really scale too well. So the artillery, blast wave, and conduit shrines will now deal more damage, and they're going to scale with you based on your level and your paragon level. So as you level up, as you get stronger, the shrines will be getting more potent with you. We're going to kind of test it, let us know how it goes, see if you actually enjoy getting them and want to get them now. We do see some room maybe to do some more things to buff them further if needed, but we're going to be trying this as a first step to see how it goes.
Yeah, I know we've heard from a lot of people about, like, especially as you get to later levels and you're towards like endgame in Torment 4 and a Conduit Shrine appears and it's like, don't touch it because maybe that will make things slower, which it currently typically does for a lot of players, especially Spiritborn players. So it's cool to see updates to these shrines, and then of course, again, like feedback is really important for us to know, like, hey, did we hit the mark? Do we need to do additional things, or do we need to tweak anything? So let us know after you guys get a chance to check out the new adjustments to the shrine. So that'll be really important for us.
Want more doors?
Some other things that are coming down the line. We do have some
shrines got more love than rogues.
Events and items that will be hitting here in the coming weeks is a little bit after mid-season update. We do actually have we're bringing back the Red Cloak Horror, which is part of the Midwinter Blight event that we had last year, and we'll actually have a blog that details all the benefits and rewards out of this. It's like XP benefits, of course, that do come with this specifically, which is really great to have on top of another event that's coming, which is Mother's Blessing. And Mother's Blessing will also be, we'll have that in the blog. That blog is going to be hitting on Thursday, I believe. So keep an eye out. For Eternal players, we also have a cool little thing, like kind of like a welcome back booster type of event for them, or maybe it's not an event. I don't know how to coin it, but like, Colin, what does that entail?
Yeah, so we wanted to put together just something to get you back into the action. I know part of X1 ended up sort of marking a bunch of items as legacy, so we just wanted to give everyone a one-time booster to come back. We're going to level you to 50. We'll give you a build that we've made. We've made 3 different ones per class. You'll be able to use it. I'm sure everyone watching probably doesn't care, but we have, you will care about this if you haven't done this, is we're going to unlock all the altars of Lilith as part of that boost. So if you log in and just use it and you haven't got all your altars,
get your altars for free.
Just get it for free.
Easy, nice.
Yeah, so. And if you're a base game Diablo 4 owner, you'll end up getting, I believe, 1 of those boosts. And then if you're a basic patron, you'll end up getting 2 of those boosts on each character, which is kind of cool. So if you want to jump back in,
I'm not like that. I promise.
Especially after the changes with. There goes my earpiece.
Mother is dead.
I've been fumbling with it all day, and now it's gone. But I know a lot of players, specifically with Season 6 jumping back in, they noticed, as you mentioned, a lot of the gear went to Legacy gear, so this kind of gives them a way of being able to kind of recover some of that, immediately get back into it. Exactly. And then I believe we also have another free trial coming up for any new players that want to check out the Spiritborn. The Spiritborn will actually be part of the free trial, and that will be coming up here in the coming weeks. And so all this will be in a blog on Thursday, which is really cool. And then, of course, as we mentioned at the start of the show, we have another stream next week. We'll actually have a date for the stream later this week for players, so that you guys can keep an eye out for that. But that is our patch 2.1 PTR stream, and that one will be pretty beefy. We have a lot to talk about regarding patch 2.1, and of course everything that's going to be coming with Season 7. We are super stoked for that. The stream again will be a little early because of the Thanksgiving holiday, so a little bit earlier than when PTR is going to start. We do plan on having those notes available for players before the Thanksgiving holiday, and then I would expect that PTR to start after the Thanksgiving holiday, so when everyone is back in post-holiday and is able to monitor and see how everything is going with PTR and taking the feedback. So we'll have a stream next week. That's
kind of rough timing with the PTR.
For some of us back on stream next week for that, and I believe we'll be joined by Mr. Dan
Probably do PTR like maybe towards the end of December and not the beginning of December.
Chiming
Just
in
saying.
on all the stuff that's coming with Season 7 and patch 2.1. So lots of big changes coming specifically with that.
But I get why, though.
I know
they
we
need
do want to jump
time
into
to make changes
Q&A,
or whatever, but still.
Really quickly. So if you guys have any questions, we have chat enabled on Twitch. So twitch.tv/Diablo. If you're watching on other channels and stuff like that, that's where we do take in specific questions. But feel free to drop in any questions. We'll try to get through as many as we can here. Again, this is just kind of an abbreviated.
The Ice Charge change is actually pretty nice.
Update, and then we'll be back.
I like that.
In a week.
Next week, yeah.
I know I'm probably like in the minority, but I actually like that.
We took a little bit of a break from streaming, so it kind of makes sense. So that we'll be back pretty quickly. But I know our first question that we have is related to ancestral items. We get a lot of questions about ancestral items. I've seen a lot of questions. Oh, this earpiece is driving me nuts. Question number 1, Adam, fix your earpiece. There's a plant right here, which you guys can't see, so I'm like having to read the screen. Any updates to ancestral items? Do you guys have any updates or news to share regarding that?
Yeah, I know we saw a lot of confusion in terms of maxing out a lot of the Codex of Power. In X1, we actually added roughly what we call ranks, 5 ranks, to a lot of the legendary aspects that were ancestral only. And I know that caused a lot of confusion. So currently how it works is ancestral items have a higher upper bounds on the rank that you can achieve for that aspect. And we have seen quite a bit of people struggling to max out their aspects. Generally, that was the goal, is that we do want to grind, right? Like we think it's good that you can sort of get an aspect right away, but we like that once you have that play style assembled, we still want things that you need to work on. That being said, we think it's a little bit too aggressive right now. So we are going to be making some changes, which we will detail next week, in terms of how that actually works. But just know that currently ancestral items are the sort of where you find the max rank of a lot of those aspects, but you can still find them on anything else.
It's just more damage, that's all.
Ancestral, the lower version.
Yep. I know, and we'll be talking more about ancestral items next week, specifically.
Yeah, the drop rates.
A lot of stuff regarding that. Is there any plans? This is I'm taking a few questions from the forums and of course chat, because we did post this on the forums beforehand. Urza from the forum says, can we get boss materials to stack like runes or maybe even higher? Are there any plans for something?
Yeah, because 50 sucks, man.
We are looking into it. There's things on our side in terms of like storage and duping that we're a little bit worried about, but we're looking at making a change sometime in the
longer
future.
There is an internal
question from a couple people like Archangel 890 and I'm not gonna Dragonage says any chances that
Dragon
you guys
Age.
Will,
he said Dragon
like
Age.
XP game,
Dragon Age.
The growth to Paragon 300. Is there any plans on maybe making adjustments or tuning specifically on that end?
Currently not at the moment. I think it's something we're monitoring though in terms of the feedback. We do like that you can get just about everything within the first 200 Paragon levels, and everything from there has a pretty steep diminishing return in terms of power. So what we don't want to say to you all is like you need to grind 200 hours to unlock your build and do all the things that are sort of playstyle defining, which we define as like the sort of glyphs and the legendary nodes. So we've seen actually a lot of positive feedback that like you can get your build online and that you still have something to work towards. The sooner we sort of short circuit that Paragon grind, the more we sort of get back to that pre-expansion 1 state where you just don't get anything from killing monsters because you're Paragon 300 in the first 2 weekends. So currently, we're looking at monitoring it, and we're super open to the feedback. But so far, we've seen a good amount of positivity around it.
I think it's kind of in line with what you were talking about with the legendary powers, right? How like those last 5 ranks are on ancestral items only, and so our idea is like we want you to get your build online and play the way you want within a pretty quickly or whatever. But then you have something to work towards, like incrementally to become stronger and stronger, and that we're okay with taking a long time.
Totally.
As long as it's not like cutting you off from the build at all. Right?
Yeah, it's about getting you into the fun and like making sure that your build is blasting, but you have things to sort of use that build to blast for, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think there's like the other thing that people are probably forgetting about is like we do have these events coming up and stuff, which also benefit some of the XP and everything like that, which will be a good opportunity for players to like be able to, if they really want, because as we've seen, there is a reward for getting to Paragon 300 and stuff. So if it allows players that opportunity to kind of use those events to be able to boost that, and we have obviously Red Cloak Horror stuff coming up here, and of course we have Mother's Blessing. So there's opportunities to help with some of that XP based off of those events specifically. So there is a question regarding materials again. Can we expect any additional buffs for drop rates on Rawhide, Iron, Forgotten Souls, anything like that?
Yeah, so actually it is in the mid-season, but we did buff Legion events. I know that was a personal favorite of a lot of folks. For the mid-season, for Season 7, we're taking a look at just sort of buffing the various sources and also really drilling down on like what are the bottlenecks players are having and iterating towards that. There's no major changes coming in Season 7, like we're not going to quadruple the amount of materials across the game, but it is something, again, in the spirit of like tightening the things that we have. We are actively looking at a lot of the material inflows and outflows, and we want to give you the tools to sort of get the materials that you're looking for. We're sort of what we're trying to do is ensure that there are things that you still care about, right? Yeah. And you still want to grind. It's still in that spirit of like, it's walking that fine line of there are things to work towards without it feeling super tedious. So that's what we're trying to tighten and work towards.
There is a question regarding, this from Remsterma, says, do you have any plans on start bringing in new mid-season mechanics? I think for that more so, I would expect like larger mechanics, content changes and stuff like that to happen around new seasons. As opposed to a mid-season update. I think we look at taking mid-season updates, making tweaks to balance items or anything that we're hearing feedback from, so that we can spend most of our concentration and focus on really putting in some of these newer type of content pieces around new seasons specifically.
Yeah, I think that going forward is mid-season is a time to just like tweak and iterate and use rework existing things, but we're really putting all of our bucks on like bigger upheavals, larger changes, lots of new stuff into the beginning of the season. So next week will be pretty exciting. We got a lot of new stuff coming in, but that's where we're kind of targeting that to make that kind of a big moment and exciting time to come back and play.
There is a question from Casual Dragon regarding Undercity drops and asking, is there any plans to potentially fix those, make those better, specifically on that end?
Yeah, so this sort of leads into, there are some ancestral drop rate changes that we want to talk about next week, but in general, what that'll mean is all the loot across the game will generally get better. So it is something that we're working on.
I'm about to take this earpiece and throw it across the room because it just keeps popping out and it's driving me insane. That's a question from Pez Radar. Question from Finamdar says, Diablo, any stability fixes coming? Been seeing a whole lot more crashes since the last couple patches. I will say that we've been monitoring. We can actually see whenever a player, series. We can actually see whenever a player actually crashes. We know it. We get logs from it on our end. I know that the engineering team here has been doing a ton of work on working to get the game more stable. You've probably seen a bunch of different small client patches go out. We actually just re-enabled like DLSS in a client patch that went out yesterday. There are additional changes and more reviewing that's being done from our side to ensure that the game is running very stable. So expect to see more of that as we get through this season and of course into next season, because our goal is to make sure baseline everyone can jump in without any of these types of issues and everything. And shout out to our engineering team. I know they've been working long and hard on figuring all this stuff out. They've been that's like their top priority right now.
They actually, behind the scenes, we even collaborate with them a lot on doing various things related to game performance under the hood, like making skills cleaner, making interactions cleaner. Like we're constantly doing stuff to make the game run smoother in the background. Pretty much every patch, like we're fixing multiple things. So it's definitely something that we're always working on actively.
Sorry, I'm quiet. I'm actually talking about
why so
Maxroll
blue Panda Bear? Any chance on tempering skulls can be used more than once? Investing time to finally get a rare drop and it bricks kind of doesn't feel too great. Any thoughts on tempering scrolls, how that's been going?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something we hear a lot of feedback on, and it's something that we're sort of taking an incremental approach, right? Like with the X1 or the expansion 1 changes, we made it so that a lot of the recipes are 3. We also added, of course, the scroll of tempering or restoration in expansion 1 to see how that sort of changes things. So we're just really taking a measured approach. If we see still there's a lot of feedback that it just still isn't hitting that mark, we're absolutely open to changing things, like potentially letting it be used more than once, and we're just sort of monitoring at this point.
We are getting questions about the armory. stay tuned. TM soon. TM. We'll have information on that. As you guys know, that has been in development. It's something that we've already confirmed about. I will be talking more about it here soon. TM. Keep your eyes peeled. Is that the term? Keep your eyes peeled. I don't know. There's a saying that stay tuned. I don't know. Last question here that we have before we head off is Hole's Transition says, will Dance of Knives get buffs and any changes to be more compatible with collecting loot, like opening doors, etc.? When you're spinning to win with your knives and stuff. Is there any way or any plans of potentially having them seamlessly move around around a dungeon or something like that from that end?
Nothing on my radar right now, but that's a good note to take.
It's a good note to take. It's a good note to take. Rogues want to spin to win
and never stop.
I know
ever.
You have to do all this setup and snapshot, and then you have to open the door. So we do know that it's a thing.
Yeah. So we'll see. Well, stay tuned. It's another thing to stay tuned. So again, thanks again everyone for jumping in, providing questions and everything from our end. We will have patch notes later this week, so stay tuned for that. The blogs for Mother's Blessing, the Red Cloak Horror, our Eternal Boost stuff, everything will be out on Thursday. So also check out for that blog. Mid-season update hits next week, so patch notes will be out before the mid-season update. And you guys will also hear about our stream date next week for the patch 2.1 PTR. So we'll be talking a whole bunch. That will be another beefy stream. This one I know is a little bit short. That one's going to be a little bit more beefy than this one. But look at this. 2 streams in 2 weeks. We're about to do it. So we will see you guys
really
next
short,
week. And again, huge thanks to Colin,
Campfire,
Adam, for joining us. Our wonderful mini Khazra over here. Super awesome. Super cute. Love you, Aaron. So, thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week for our patch 2.1 PTR stream. And check out the blogs and patch notes later this week. See you guys.
They're rating Rob? Because of all people, Rob needed it. The person with the highest Diablo 4 view count. He probably won like well, I can't really talk about it in public or whatever, but probably won the thing or whatever to do it, but or to get rated or whatever. So I guess that's fair game, but still. Well, finally woke up from the med coma. What'd you miss? Nothing. You didn't really miss anything.
To see how many people, I mean, we were kind of seeing it in the community, right? Like a lot of people playing Spiritborn. Like there was a ton of us.
Okay. So like, anyways, let's just go away from this. And I gotta change the thing too. All right, so I'm sure you can tell by my level of excitement here, how I feel about the live stream itself. I did like the panel though. The panel was good. I like. I've always like Colin and I always like Adam. From what was shown was really underwhelming, and I don't think I'm gonna ever forgive that one slide thing on Rogue. Like for real, you couldn't think of anything else to put on like a second slide, like at all whatsoever. Like just nothing. I just felt bad, and not only that, but the slide didn't even contain like Rogue's new skill. Like if they did any changes to Dance of Knives. If there is any in the patch notes, that should have been on the slide of some sort. Even if it was on the slide by itself. So, yeah. So for those who are interested in what I think about the rogue changes or rogue buffs, I see people like got excited about it. It's like, hey, they buffed precision, they buffed they buffed Victimize, and Pinshot got some buffs. Flurry got some buffs, which is cool. But I don't know if you noticed, but like that changes nothing on Rogue. All it does is if you were doing like speed 90s before, you're probably doing like speed 93s now. Speed 94s. Maybe. That's it. So like everything you do currently on the Rogue has only gotten like maybe 3 or 4 tiers of a buff. But nothing changes for you. So we don't, at least from the slideshow that we get no new gameplay, no new builds, and literally just number go up a little bit. That's it. The buff Victimize pretty nice. So I guess here's my thing though. All that happened so far was number go up a little bit, at least from the slideshow. What new gameplay do people expect from mid-season patch? Did you not see the Sork Ice Shard buff? Okay, then. Guess it's my turn. Like that completely changes how our Ice Shard or plays. Like that aspect is like massive for Ice Shards. They changed how that mechanically works. Like I want to play. Like I'm a big fan of Ice Shards. Now I actually want to play Ice Shards. Like I actually want to make a cold sword and play Ice Shards just for that ability. That change is big enough for me to at least want to do that. And like, don't get me wrong, it's still going to be like pretty crappy compared to some of the other Sork stuff. But I've always been a big fan of Ice Shards, and that's enough for me to go, oh, it does something different now. So yes, when I see things like that, I am to expect more things like that because they show stuff like that. But with that being said though, I'm not asking for like complete mechanical reworks or whatever, but like the things that were not touched doesn't do anything to offer anything different to the class.
We just got raided, son.
You know how we do. What up, Peter?
Drop my new beat for these new viewers.
Sheezy out. What's up, Pewter? What's going on?
Pewter_Odin raided my stream with 2 viewers.
What's up, man? So that's the thing. Like, I guess I expect things to allow me to try something different. Like persuade me to try something different mid-season patch. That's all I'm asking for. Like, if I'm doing the exact same thing with the exact same builds, but we just got like a teeny bit of a number bump so we can feel better about the numbers we produce, that's not giving me a reason to experiment and do anything else on the road. It's literally the same builds we've always been doing on this channel, but now the number bigger. And it's not even like a lot bigger. It's like a little bigger. Right? Don't get me wrong. They're buffs, and I'm not complaining about buffs. But at this point in the season, like, number go bigger isn't going to extend my seasonal playtime. Because I just do the same thing I did before. It just, number is a little prettier. And so like the issues I have with some of the stuff like for instance, victimize. Like, why? So, granted, there probably was. See, I think I already said this before the stream. I said this before the live stream. I said I don't think they're going to be able to do anything, or they may not do anything that's going to be meaningful in terms of changing the way rogues are playing certain things until like next season. Like, victimize. The problem with victimize isn't the damage. It's not the damage. It's the way it feels. How it works. That's the issue with victimize, not the damage. Like, I'm not excited for it to do the exact same thing, but slightly bigger number. It still feels awful. Buffing precision isn't what we needed on Rogue. Sure, bigger number, better, sure, whatever. But it's not what we needed. Precision is already what? The strongest key passive we got right now? Like, why was that buff and not add a mixture? Or close quarters combat for freaking crying out loud. Like, that needed it. Precision didn't need it. And this is coming from somebody who plays Rain of Arrows. I play Rain of Arrows a lot. I play Rapid Fire, a bit, or did until I did Rain of Arrows. So I benefit from precision buff. But even I think that's kind of out. That's not characteristic. That's like uncharacteristic at this point, because why? We didn't need that. Like, that's just my thought. I'm really not trying to be like a complete Debbie Downer about it, but like, I truly hope that there's more substance in the patch notes themselves. And maybe the pinch shot buff might be big enough for me to consider doing some pinch shot stuff, but the problem with pinch shot isn't necessarily just the base damage number. The problem with Flurry, which I guess I don't really think Flurry has a big problem right now. It's just obviously lower output unless you do OP Flurry, right? But like the biggest issue with pinch shot, the biggest issues with pinch shot is still the same issues, even though you buff the base damage. Like, it's going to have good AoE clear, but it's still going to suck ass on single target. So all you did was just increase the threshold of which it starts to suck. At the end of the day. So I don't even know how I feel about that. Maybe some like skill weaving stuff, pinch shot barrage might feel better now because pinch shot's base damage is better. I don't know, but like pinch shot needed the eagle horn change, like the unique to change. Like they need to do something with the eagle horn and make it a little more, well, unique. No pun intended. I agree. They said there was more changes. Well, yeah, I know, but I think here's the issue I kind of have with that is that when you present a slide, when you present a slideshow, and let's be honest, Rogue just didn't get a slideshow; they got a slide, right? But when you present that one slide, you better put your best stuff on that slide. Like your more interesting or intriguing stuff on the slide, and put the less interesting stuff in the patch notes. So if there is anything really interesting or cool, put it on the freaking slideshow. Or put it on the second slide we never got on Rogue. I don't know. Man. Is it good as me? Yeah, I'm just. I don't really know what to say. I can't really. I don't know. I don't know if Lexi is even here still. Lexi is even here, man. But I don't really know what to say. Like, I really do hope on Thursday that there's more substance. Angelic, what's going on? They could have just left real guys. Probably after, yeah, pretty much. Cause like, they also didn't really talk much about like the game systems either as much. It looks like they're pretty happy with how the systems are in place, which base value, the systems are pretty decent. I guess maybe I was expecting a little more fine tuning to come into like the mid-season patch or whatever, but it seems like they're leaving that alone. And then of course the whole Spiritborn thing, right? The whole like they're not going to bug fix or nerf the Spiritborn. They're going to leave it as is, which I guess either way would have been a shitstorm for them, whether they left it as it is or they actually like nerfed it or, you know, fixed the game breaking, but the egregious bugs on the Spiritborn. The thing that I think is going to be unfortunate though is that you're going to push away your group player community in which you just put a whole party finder and search for and have everyone get kicked that isn't a Spiritborn player for the rest of the season. Granted, that probably still would have happened even if they would have bug fixed Spiritborn, honestly. Because Spiritborn would still be the like strongest class regardless. But at least it wouldn't be so like the efficiency wouldn't be so drastic between having a Spiritborn and not having a Spiritborn in a party. And I think that's a very missed thing because you just basically sure, you made all the Spiritborn players who main Spiritborn or play Spiritborn on a regular happy, but then you just literally gave the middle finger to those who want to group up using your party finder system. I don't even play groups like that. I don't even do party finder, so it's not even for me. But I feel bad for those who do, and say, hey, you know, I came and group up because I remember who was it? There was somebody on my stream the other day that came and told me, he's like, hey, you know, anybody want to do some boss rotas or whatnot? And I was like, hey, you know, just use the party finder. You know, we got the party finder, right? And he's like, well, I can't because I keep getting kicked. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I keep getting kicked because I'm not a Spiritborn man. So I can't find a group. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know. I really didn't know it was that bad. Like, that's awful. Like, that's bad. Like, that is. Yeah, like. They've been kicked for not being a Spiritborn. Have you used Party Finder? Like, have you used like the Party Finder, or are you talking about playing with your friends? Because your friends aren't going to care. But if you have used Party Finder and you have not been kicked, then you are probably in the minority, and keep it up. Or help other people not get kicked. Because apparently this has been a pretty big issue that I wasn't even aware of, because I really don't play in groups, so I didn't even know. Do I plan on doing any Flurry OP build this season? Nah, I'm not. Lexi's like, I'm sure a 15% damage increase to Flurry would make a difference compared to Spiritborns. I mean, I'll take any buff that Flurry gets in general, as a generalistic sense. I was just hoping for more things to play with. Like maybe some adjustments to some items, some aspects. Key passives would have been nice. Give us something else to play with and experiment with, and like that's my thing. This would be a great time. This would be a good time to really throw out some stuff that you just want to see how we react to. Because I mean, it's mid-season anyways. Everybody's playing Spiritborn. Might as well like really just not be scared and just throw stuff out there and just be like, hey, let's try this and see what happens. And then if it doesn't work out well, you can always fix it for season 7. Because who's gonna care at this point? Like there's nothing that's gonna be wildly imbalanced or be even comparable to Spiritborn at this point. Might as well just throw things out there. Like shoot, just throw things out there. Hey, here's a cool pin shot idea with the eagle horn or whatever. And you'd be like, cool. Maybe it becomes broken. Great. But it'll still be vastly like weaker than Spiritborn, and you can just fix it in season 7. Like so it's kind of like I think you're right about Ice Shard. Yeah, see, like Ice Shard. See, the Ice Shard change was what I was expecting more of for all classes. Like I actually do want to play Ice Shards now. Like I do. I've always liked Ice Shards. You guys saw me do it last season. Was it last season? No, or was it the season before that? It was a season before that. It was season 4. I played some Ice Shard Sork for fun. Was it bad? Hell yeah, it was bad. It was terrible. But I had fun. And now, like the way that it mechanically works now, I'm even more interested. Obviously, it's a huge damage buff for AoE. That doesn't really help anything like single target really, but like your clearing is going to be pretty cool. Like a lot better. Dangerous things that Kofi and missing the patch notes. I don't know, man. Rogue's got the shaft. The game isn't called Spiritborn 4. It is this season. I did tell you that Spiritborn were getting buffs, right? People thought I was crazy when I said that. I love the style of your hat, Cap. Thanks. The Kangol. People thought I was crazy when I said Spiritborns were getting. I'm like, yeah, they're probably gonna get buffed to underutilized skills. Watch. Which is kind of interesting because people aren't gonna play them. People are not. Why are people who already play Spiritborn and spent all these billions and trillions of gold on gear purposely play something like vastly weaker? Except for what was it? Toxic? skin. I mean, there are some builds that are like they were already really good at that they buffed, which is wild to me, but that's okay, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on the dev still not adding the ability to save multiple talent builds? That's probably coming in season 7. They've mentioned that every time that they're working on it. I assume it's probably a lot of work to do in Armory. So as much as I want one, and as I say it every time, I'm sure it's in the works. Did they buff druids by chance? Every class got some buffs. But we'll see what the extent of the buffs are when we get the patch notes on Thursday. Man. Mippy DM'd me and was really sad. I wish I could share to you what I just got, but I can't because it's in our Maybe I'm sorry. Oh man. So I'm just kind of checking out some stuff here, seeing what people are saying in the discords. But man, I guess one buff leads to Timony said, personally, I'm so disappointed for this news that Spiritborn is not fixed. They really need to make a new guideline for bug interactions. Those should always be fixed ASAP as they're found, no matter what they are, how much resources players lose if they don't like it. They don't like to play the class that they're at their fixes. There's no way bug characters are a thing of today's AAA games. So here's my take on it, and I know like many people may not agree, and that's fine. It's totally fine. But how do you balance a game if you put off bug fixing until later? So like the longer you put off bug fixing, the longer it takes for you to actually get better balance between the classes. So like for instance, because when you bug fix something else becomes bugged. That's how coding works. Because coding is not easy. So if you wait until you fix something, then you're not going to know the ramifications of that fix until it is fixed. So it just takes longer and longer and longer to get a true state of something if stuff just doesn't get fixed or it just gets pushed off till later. So we never achieve this whole balance thing or all classes being pretty decent or good with intended interactions if stuff just keeps getting pushed back further and further and further. Or push forward ahead or whatever you want to put it. So I think that, so the thing is, how can we really complain about balance if we're okay with them not fixing the very thing needed to be able to obtain that said balance? I'll give you a good example. Like Twisting Blaze Rogue is a perfect example of this. Like, sure, everyone loved the Poison TB. I'm saying everyone, but a lot of rogues like the Poison TB preseason, season 1, or like that. It has several bugs that needed to get fixed. They waited for seasons, like 2 or 3 seasons before they chose to fix the bug. Now what do we have? We have Twisting Blaze barely being a thing now. And now we have to wait even longer before it becomes a thing because they waited so long to do anything about the bug that we're now in a phase where Twisting Blades is just kind of meh or mediocre. Had they fixed Twisting Blades a while ago, they would have known what the state of Twisting Blades was, and by now we would have had better Twisting Blade builds. But no, we have to wait and wait and wait until they get to a point where it's like, oh, well, maybe Twisting Blades isn't performing the way that we want to. Well, how would you know? It's been bugged for so long. Like, sure, people dislike the idea of bug fixes, and like the initial thought is it ruins the fun that they're having. But you will never achieve balance in the game, or close to balance, or multiple build options. Build diversity. Let me just put that. You'll never really achieve the build diversity people want with bugs flying around and being left unchecked for long periods of time. You're just not going to, because the only thing that's going to survive are things that are bugged. So if you don't fix bugs, then your build diversity is based around whatever is bugged. And we have a problem because the only builds that we ever get that are good are ones that are created off of unintended interactions. I'm not like I said, I like a lot of words or whatever, but like, I guess my ultimate point is the longer they wait to fix bugs, the longer it takes to catch the unintended interactions of bug fix, which will then take longer to actually fix the said skill. And then we don't get the intended interactions until way later. And it just becomes, because I guarantee you, this whole fix the Spiritborn thing or bugs or whatever like that, they'll fix it for season 7, and then new bugs will prop up. New bugs will prop up for season 7, and then people are like, "Oh no, don't fix the bugs." And then now we have a whole season 7 of new bugs that came into the picture because they tried to fix old bugs, but waited so long to do so. But now it's already in season 7, so too late. Gotta wait till season 8 before we do anything about it. So you see the problem I have with that approach? I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong. I'm just saying you're never gonna catch you're never gonna catch up with the bugs this way. Dusty Tone, I agree. I 10,000% agree with you. I don't know if they should have did Demon Hunter, but I think like maybe like Amazon or something, or like a ranged class or something like that, with like javelins and bows and stuff like that would have been the preferred choice probably. Even though I love Demon Hunter, don't get me wrong. But I agree with Rogue just being an assassin class, and you just make a ranged class. Like, I spoke about that a lot, like a ton on the stream. But I 100% agree. This whole hybrid thing ain't working. Just make Blade Dancer the third tier of TB skill tree and rework aspect to be similar to rebounding feathers from Spiritborn. Boom, done. Honestly, I don't even know if that would be enough. All the whole, they sit under a cover of doing what the players want to avoid accountability of their unintended, and then but then Blizzard will still get blamed for it. Like, you're not gonna win. Like, you're not gonna win this battle. Like, Blizzard isn't going to win this battle. But what they can do is establish a mantra, not mantra, but establish a meaningful way of fixing the game and letting players understand and know that you have to fix the game. Like, that's just a matter of things. We're not even talking about buffs or nerfs here. We're just talking about making sure things work the way that they're supposed to. Like, that's just basic gaming 101, I guess. I understand that players may not necessarily always like that, but it kind of is what it is. You mess up, you fix it. You know, if fixing it pisses off people, so be it. Like, it kind of is. It just is what it is. You're trying to make a better game. That is the point. Those people who are mad, they'll come back. They'll leave, but they'll come back. Because when the game is in a better state of mind, or in a better state in general, they'll come back. They'll be like, oh, there's more build, but there's more build diversity. Oh, I can actually play this build now, and I can play that build, or I can choose to play this build. Okay, cool. They'll be mad initially, but the overall effect will be better for the game. Whereas right now, people are, the Spiritborn players are excited, but it's bad for the game and the rest of the season, technically, because everyone's comparing themselves to Spiritborn, which is impossible. And so now your entire season 6 is, balance-wise, is just kind of ruined. Just so people can spam a few buttons and one-shot stuff. But I do understand that people have invested a lot of time and resources into said builds, and they would naturally get upset. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Naturally, rightfully so. But it's just not good for the game. It's just not good for the game. Never hooted and hated Nick. Sorry, like Atara, who's the cousin to Kaliko. Viz and called Enrico back on the streets like Chico. The bar, she large. Got a lack in this garage. Few parts here and there, I declare hard. My lord. One at Clark, one at Spellsman. Both know each other and it's cool. You can tell when we step up in the party, women jump for joy, but all the while, spitting all that bushwash. My car, I'm a star. I'd rather be a comet by far. Rah. Sorry, Outcast. Gotta do it. Mika said, I can already imagine it, right? Yeah. So what are the unintended things they mentioned? Everything Spiritborn is currently doing right now that is allowing Spiritborns to speed run 150s, basically. There's quite a few unintended interactions for sure on Spiritborn. But even if the thing is that even if they bug fix Spiritborn, like if they fix all the bugs on Spiritborn would still be the strongest class in the game, which is fine. Like that part would be fine, but at least the gap wouldn't be as egregious as it is now. They care more about player retention than the longevity of the game, but you can't retain players in mid-season. You can't. How do you retain players mid-season? No action RPG has ever really make a growth comeback in the middle of a season. You can't retain people. At this point, it's a good time to try different things because people are already gone. Like at this point, at least get people be more interested in like, oh, well, this happened, this big change happened. Oh, okay, I guess I'll come back and do whatever. If you just let people do the same thing and don't do anything different, then why would they come back? They've already played Spiritborn already. They've already done the Spiritborn being OP thing. Like people aren't gonna like tell me the people who are like, I don't want to say like hardcore, like it's probably more the like casual players. What casual players do you know right now that's kind of just going, yo, I'm so glad Spiritborn didn't get touched. I'm going to totally play out the rest of the season now. Like, I'm definitely going to play the rest of the season now because Spiritborn didn't get nerfed or touched. Like, nah, they're done. They're done. Like, you did everything you wanted to in the season already. Most likely, if you play Spiritborn to start, you've already done everything. So not touching it isn't going to make people play it more. They're done. See, I'm a casual gamer. If they nerf Spiritborn, I stop playing as your only character. How much longer do you plan on playing the Intellectual Warlock? Like from this point on? You're not nearly done yet? Have you just started playing? I'm curious. Like, I'm like legit curious. Have you just started playing? I only ask because like Spiritborn's pretty much skip progression. Discrediting the interest of the paying players, whether their intent or desires for God buttons is a bad move. I'm not gonna lie though, the Oxa, I really think you wouldn't like the invade build for a Spiritborn. You should try it. We'll see. All my friends are Spiritborn mains, but they're scared to have their character neutered, if I'm going to be honest. But I guess the thing is that like I won't say everybody, because Intellectual Warlock is has stated that he is still playing. I would say a large portion of the player base is not, at this point in the season, isn't really playing the game like that anymore. It's not a D4 thing, it's just an action RPG thing. People play action RPG seasons for like the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, and then they move on to something different. Usually. So not moving the needle or being scared to try things isn't going to extend the season in that sense. Like I'll give an example. The buffs just to precision and victimize and all that stuff that has nothing to do isn't going to extend the life of the season for a rogue player. The hardcore gamers are done, but I think it might be a mom and dad game. It's not the end of the game. Yeah, but I think too at the same time, Warlock, even if they did fix the bugs of Spiritborn, how like the bugs for Spiritborn, right? Spiritborn would still pretty much be by far the strongest class in the game. For example, like it won't mean that your build would die. You'll still be able to completely demolish T4 content when you get there, right? So like, why would that make you want to leave as a casual player, for someone who doesn't really care about having the best gear or like the best pit clear or whatever like that? If you still can demolish content easily on a Spiritborn with the bug fixes, why would that make you want to leave? It's like, oh man, I was one-shotting Duriel before in T4. Now I'm one-shotting Duriel and T4 with the bug fixes. I no longer want to play the game anymore. You see what I'm saying? When I'm saying nerf a Spiritborn, I'm not talking about like making it a bad class. I'm not talking about making it like where you struggle to clear content. But my thing is, I'm not talking about nerfing the class. I'm talking about bug fixes. Like Spiritborn will still be doing trillions of damage without the bugs. Notice I didn't ask to nerf the Spiritborn. I'm saying bug fixes. You still will be one-shotting all T4 bosses without the bugs. So I guess that was kind of my point. It's like, what changes for you? If you one-shot it with the bug and then you one-shot without the bug, why would you leave? Why would that make you leave the rest of the season? Because of a bug fix, when you still technically one-shot most things in the game without the bugs. My point is, how do we can't really get to a point or a state of balance until bugs are fixed, and we wait too long to fix bugs, then we're going to only have new bugs presented that's going to still be dominant and ravenant in the game. I'm not saying make a class useless. I'm saying let's figure out what's actually good outside of bugs and then figure out what to do with them next. For all classes, not just Spiritborn. I'm talking about all classes. Every class in the game. Like, every class in the game that has builds based around bugs, they need to get fixed. and then we can figure out what to do with how to properly manage them or whatever. It's just that in the Spiritborn's case, Spiritborn's bugs are just better than the other classes' bugs right now. So that's why they have the most attention. Like the bugs on Spiritborn are way better than the bugs on Rogue, or the bugs on Sork, or the bugs on Druid. That's the only difference, really, is that Spiritborn bugs are just way better. Like, way better. This whole topic is just far from every direction. Babe Ruthless. Oh, for sure. I'm sure you wouldn't be happy with that. Like, that's a fair statement. Not saying you wouldn't be happy. But the idea of being able to speedrun 150s isn't good for the game in general. Like, that really shouldn't be a thing. And the way that you have to do it, and the amount of RNG necessary, like, it's just not good. It just isn't. It's really not good for the overall game. But I can see why you would be upset, because that's what you want to do right now. And then if you can't do it, then of course you'd be upset. I don't even know if I have a good analogy for that without like causing some sort of controversy, but like, you know, that'd be the equivalent to just like, nah, let me actually not say that. How am I coping with the news about Quincy Jones? I actually don't even know about the news with Quincy Jones, to be honest with you. I've been kind of in the bubble. New tier list idea, season's best bug. Actually, you know what? Let me bad. That last week, really? I did not know that. Are you serious? Like, from what? I maxed out my rogue on Pit 91 and it's like, so it could go any further. Well, I mean, but then you have seen rogues do like 110 plus though, right? So like, but then again, at the same time, Pit tiers are just kind of an arbitrary number at the end of the day. Especially past 100. At past 100, like it's just more so of more health. Can build, do bigger number for more health to go down faster. Right? Intellectual World, I appreciate the sub. I don't think they said the cause. He was in his 90s, so he made it a while. Okay, so I mean he's had a good run then, of course. But that's sad, man. I did not know. See, this is what happens, Evan and Pig, when you're not in my stream. You don't get to tell me updates like this. You weren't in my stream almost all last week, man. What happened? I didn't know about it because you weren't here. That's what happened. Nah, but it's the only news. Nah. But does that make sense though? Like I said, I know my perspective and position. Again, I'm not expecting anyone or everyone to agree with the way I look at it, right? Everyone looks at it differently and whatnot. I guess I would like what's best in the interest of the game long term. I'll put it that way. Even if it means making me as a gamer a little unhappy or uncomfortable or a little upset in the short term, if it's best for the game in the long term, I'm okay with that. That is my perspective, because I generally want the game to be good. And of course, as a let's say content creator, I'm going to be a little bit more biased, because obviously the longevity of D4 doing good or doing well over time will just be better for me as a content creator. So there's honestly some bias there. But if I wasn't a content creator or whatnot, maybe my perspective might be a little different. Like if I only play like maybe 2 or 3 hours a week, then maybe I might be on the side of let everything broken be broken in the game, because who cares? I only play 3 hours a week anyway. Let me have my God button and like one tap everything. Don't touch my fun. So maybe my perspective would be different, because then I wouldn't care about the game's longevity. I'm only gonna play like a couple hours a week anyway. So screw the game. Give me my God button. Right? And there are those that are out there, and like that's not a bad take. That's just their perspective for the way that they play the game, for the amount of time that they have to play. So like, I don't think there's a right or wrong. But I will personally always side with the game's longevity. Turtle, what's going on? I'm sad they didn't buff builds we aren't using right now. Lucky for you, no more build videos till next season. I mean, I don't know. I wanna like sniff some copium, like inhale some like copium for the patch notes on Thursday. But I mean, I don't know, man. Should announce October bugs event and give all classes insane bugs and raise a bit to over $9. What's up? GG on stream, gonna go farming your Sourcey. Well, I guess you could probably pre-farm for ice shards now, right? And kind of be like, all right, let's go ahead and get some like some stuff or whatever. The brainchild, appreciate the sub. You're hoping they didn't just cover all the changes today? Well, I mean, they didn't, because they never do. So they said there's a lot that's going to be in the patch notes themselves, which is true. They usually do give a lot more in the patch notes. But my thing is that if the most exciting thing that they gave were on the slides for Rogue, then that doesn't give me much hope for the rest of the patch notes. Especially since Rogue's only got one slide. One slide. Like Sork, which didn't really get much, but did get a really cool buff, or two cool buffs actually. But like didn't really help much else with Sork, but at least they got 4 slides. They got 4 slides. I agree with you that they should buff all other classes this mid-season, and if it's broke, fixes for next season. And then why would you nerf Spirit Reborn? No, I didn't say nerf Spirit Reborn. I said fix bugs. I mean, you can consider that a nerf because it makes you deal a lot less damage, but you'll still be dealing trillions of damage. But my thing is that like if you wait to fix bugs, then you're gonna only be chasing bug after bug after bug. Do you know how long some of these things in the game has been bugged because it's taken them so long to get around said bugs? Do you really think that they're gonna fix and like nail all the bugs on Spiritborn coming into season 7 because they're gonna wait until season 7 to try to fix it? When they fix a bug, new bugs arrive, and then what ends up happening, Babe Ruthless, is that they fix a bug, they fix a couple of bugs on the season 7, then something else get bugged in the coding because they fix something else gets broken, and then guess what? People are like, oh no, don't fix it. So now we have a whole season 7 with something dealing even more damage than it did before, but because people are afraid for things to get bug fixed during the season, we have to wait another 3.5-4 months before to ride that bug out. And then now we have a completely, not completely, but like now we have a season where people are complaining, oh, my build isn't as good as that build, or because that build is bugged, and now we have to wait until the following season to fix bugs. And so that means every season literally is just we find whatever's bugged and broken because they're not going to fix it, and we all play that, and that's it. We screw build diversity because they're never going to really be able to nail it because they keep introducing new bugs when trying to fix bugs. That's just natural. That's coding, right? It's just going to happen. It's naturally going to happen. And so if you never do anything about it until, 4 times a year, then we're never going to catch up. We're never going to catch up to things being not bugged. That's the issue I have with it. See what I'm saying? Like I'm almost willing to I'll put all of my channel points into this, that I guarantee you season 7 is going to introduce new Spiritborn bugs because they didn't do anything in season 6 to nap any of the bugs except for the evade one. So they're going to try to fix it all in season 7, and then new bugs will arrive because they tried to fix old bugs. And then now we're stuck with season 7 Spiritborn being ridiculously whatever they were again. And now season 7 is just like season 6, where we have a whole another 3 months of, okay, well, I guess we'll wait till season 8 for some class balance. So now we're going to have to wait until what? I'm predicting this right now in my chat. So therefore, if you guys want to clip this, if you want to, guarantee you April is when Spiritborn might be like in a less bug state. And if you're a Spiritborn main, maybe that's cool. Maybe you enjoy being that, that much stronger than like every other class because of a bug or two. Right? But for everyone else, that's gonna suck. And it's not good for the game. Like, that's not good for the game at all. To have one class, any class, Spiritborn, Barbarian, whatever, to be that much stronger than other classes because of bugs they didn't nick the previous season and they just hope they catch it. I don't have faith in them really fixing bugs at that rate because they have a problem fixing bugs as it is. They fix bugs, they introduce new bugs, then we have to wait until 3.5 months until we get a bug fix for those new bugs and hope that the bug fix don't bug out something else, and then wait another 4 months before we get the bug fix to the bug fix that tried to fix the previous bug. You see where this is going now? It's not even just Spiritborn, it's all classes. This is why on Rogue, for instance, Precision has been bugged for how many seasons now? Victimize has been bugged for how many seasons now? Trick Attacks has been bugged for the 2nd season in a row and they still haven't messed with it. And pushing with, or doing pit pushing or like higher tier content with Precision builds feels very, very bad because Trick Attacks is bugged. Sure, we get a bunch of damage until we get to the boss, and then when we get to the boss, it's like the worst thing ever. Like, no, like people don't like that. You have a whole season of having to deal with it. Because we don't want to piss the player off, the player base off, by actually trying to fix the game in a reasonable manner. But again, you know, I get it. So like I said, that's where I stand. I'm not even being biased with, oh, whoops, that's me. Yeah. So like, that's where I'm standing. It's like, I'm not biased in which bugs they fix. I'm not even saying, hey, yo, fix the Spiritborn bugs and leave rogue stuff alone. Like, no. Axe rogue stuff too. Please fix precision. Please fix trick attacks. Obviously, you know, you want to follow that by some, you know, buffs or whatever, because bug fixing is going to, you know, obviously hurt our power, but fix the bugs. Like, fix the bugs, man. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not biased. I'm not being like, well, you know, my class will benefit, or, you know, do everybody's class but my class. No, I am I am neutral when it comes to that. But yeah, keeping it broken to the following season means that we're just gonna have bugs basically rule the meta every season, because Blizzard's never gonna fix it during the season. Personally, I don't enjoy that, but some people might. All right, we're going to Panda Glass Jaw. Bugs are like a Hydra. Fix 1 and 2. Take their place. Yeah. They're probably reverting the nerf they did last season. Honestly, Victimize is stronger this season than last season. Like, considerably stronger this season than last season. So it didn't get nerfed. It got buffed, and they mechanically changed it. But Victimize just feels bad. So even though it's stronger, it's much stronger than it was in season 5. It just feels awful. The whole internal cooldown just sucks. But it is stronger. It just feels bad. Some bugs have been found out from launch that are just getting found out. Yeah. But anyway, I guess I will see y'all on. Well, actually, hold on. Before I read out to Panda, because I'm still going to. Yeah, you said Victimized play. Yeah, it is terrible. So that's the thing, Sob. It's the thing, Sob. So when someone was excited about the Victimized buff from 120% to 150%, people were just like, oh yeah, Victimized buff. But I'm like, it's the same mechanic though. It's still gonna feel bad. It just means that you're doing like 3 pit tiers higher than you did before. So if you were speed farming like, I don't know, 85s, you're now speed farming 88s. That's it. But Victimize still feels just as bad as it did before. It still feels bad. Nothing changed. Like, I personally wish people want more than just bigger number. Like, bigger number doesn't necessarily mean better. If it still feels terrible to play, it's still bad. Like, let's not give Blizzard the impression that we're okay now because you added 30% to our 30. You added a little bit of like damage to our key passive. No, it's still not okay. It's not, you know, I don't want to give them the impression, oh yeah, it's fixed now, it's great. No, it's not. No, it's not. So Turtle. He said, right. So our only hope is that they cause a bug that changes the interaction, making it feel better to play. You know what? At this point, I'll take that. I'll take that. I will take that. That's probably the best case scenario right now, is that they accidentally cause a bug to make victimized feel better again. Variation adjustment. I'm gonna go to Panda Glass, Joe. I can stop for a second because I wanted to keep answering questions here in the chat. I can't wait for cool rogue bugs this patch. Yeah. I don't know, man. Anyways, I do hope for something a little more entertaining in the patch notes that maybe changes the way I look at something or how I play or something. I wasn't looking forward to playing the exact same builds, but with slightly prettier numbers. But Gurn, appreciate the follow. I think Mippy is over it, man. Mippy's like so upset. I don't blame him though. Man. All right, well, I was gonna do a night stream to talk about the live stream, but I don't really think there really is much to talk about, so I might not. Maybe not. We'll see. But enjoy Panda Glass, y'all. And as always, till next time.